Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are here today with Joe Villarreal. I tried to roll it, Joe. I just can't.
Roll those R's.
Villarreal. I worked on it with my kids. They're experts at it. And today we're going to talk about WeatherTRAK support resources for Spanish speakers. The Spanish speakers in the landscape and irrigation community are a dominant force in certain markets. In Colorado, I ran irrigation crews for a long time, and very seldom did I have guys that spoke English on my crew. Spanish is an absolute must in the landscape community, and I want to talk about the dedication to supporting those folks and the resources that we have for Spanish speakers in the WeatherTRAK world. Honored to have with me Joe, who is a irrigation and training development specialist, another training manager, the first training manager I've had on my show, which is something that you and I have in common. Thanks for making time for us, Joe.
For sure.
Like I said, I was doing my homework on you, and part of that was to look at the Park West website, and I found so much there that I really enjoyed. You guys have a great website. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, this mantra that is front and center on your website that says integrating people and innovation to deliver world-class landscape solutions. And I think that struck me because we were both training manager. That struck me as something that was true of both of our jobs, right? That's just where we live, is right in between the people and the innovation, right? it strikes me that training is a huge part of development and bringing new technologies to markets and to workforces, and really to have this position where we are bringing that to our people and making sure that they result in the goal, right? We get the result of that innovation, that world-class landscape solution, right? Make the technology into a solution, not just a widget, but an end result, or what my company calls outcomes. And I'm real interested to drill into your role with that and see kind of what you're doing for Park West in terms of what are you doing to train your guys? Do you have programs that you've outlined?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're working on right now company-wide is we have a checklist. And with that checklist, we got several irrigation questions. We got about 80 irrigation techs right now company-wide. And every one of those irrigation techs have been evaluated. And based on those questions that we have, anything from, what type of Teflon do you use? What type of glue do you use? Why do you use that type of glue? To what is user no ET? What is WeatherTRAK? How do you set up Optiflow and stuff like that? Or the technologies, master valves, what's normally open versus normally closed. So we're going through through this checklist with each individual irrigation tech, and that way we can go ahead and help them out and build a curriculum, build a training platform for them to join in on, so we can go ahead and help them elevate themselves. At the same time, if you elevate them out, I've always thought that if you want to become a great leader, you got to have great people under you, right, and train people. So that's what we're doing right now. Is we're going through and making sure that all our irrigation techs get evaluated, so they can help us develop training to be able to cater to them.
That's awesome. Like, just to provide standards of training that then promotes standards of water management in your company, right? That idea that a well-trained professional is more efficient, is going to save you time by delivering better, faster, and more in the workforce, makes that step of training an essential part of modern business.
Yeah, especially like even like with the new laws coming down, pressure regulation, right, in your sprinkler heads. Why do you need to have them? Well, the conversation is you can save water by minimizing or having the proper pressure, right, for those sprinkler heads. And even the guys, when I explained that through our evaluation, you know, they don't know anything about that, you know, any laws or anything. And so it just kind of, instead of you ordering, telling the guys, hey, you guys got to install these irrigation heads, you know, no ifs, ands, or buts. Now you're like taking it to the next level, like, hey, this is the reason why we're putting in those irrigation heads, you know, all that missing. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the reason, because there's no pressure regulation. And in fact, you might even need a pressure regulator at the main line. Oh, what do you mean? Like, yeah, look, check your pressures, and that will help you determine what we need. So it's the technology that's out there. It's not that the guys don't want to do it. You know, they don't want to sell it because they don't know, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And really what that results in is another highlight of your website to me, which was your spoken dedication to water management, right? And this is something that not a lot of companies do. It's more prominent in your area, but I love that you guys are touting that you are not only training your guys, but using the best technology to deliver that water management outcome, to deliver maximum water savings as part of your bottom line solution or your offering to the market.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right, so enough about drilling down. Let's talk about Spanish training and what we're here to talk about today. Sorry to get distracted, guys. But today we really want to talk about the Spanish training and resources that are offered through HydroPoint for our WeatherTRAK users. And a big part of that is, or it is not lost on me that it's ironic that we're doing this in English. What I have in mind today to offer is really training the trainers, offering the English speakers who tune in regularly, all of the resources that we have that might help you support your teams in Spanish out in the field. And so to do that, I'm going to first show you something I think is awesome about WeatherTRAK Mobile. And to do that, I'm going to jump over to a different demonstration here. We're going to start this up. And my first dive into Spanish-speaking WeatherTRAK support is this WeatherTRAK Mobile. If I log into WeatherTRAK Mobile, you'll recognize this demo from every session I do. I try and demo the app. And what I really want to show you is this is, in my eyes, one of the best training tools that WeatherTRAK has for Spanish speakers. Not many people know that WeatherTRAK Mobile can be displayed in Spanish, but it's a little tricky because it's not a setting in the app that you turn from Spanish to English. We've integrated it much more intuitively than that. That is to say, if your phone settings are set to display all of your apps in Spanish, WeatherTRAK Mobile will automatically translate into Spanish for you. So if I go into my settings and change my language from English to Spanish, and then you can see now my phone is set and displaying in Spanish. If I back out of there, you see all of the different settings are now displayed in Spanish. And if I go into WeatherTRAK Mobile now, the same is true. WeatherTRAK Mobile will automatically translate into Spanish. Now, it has its limitations. You see right here at the top, the sites page is translated into Spanish to a word I could not say if I wanted to. And then if I go into the details of any one of these pages, you'll notice if I go to look at my alert notifications, all of the different features are in Spanish. And if I go to the station, this is where I think it's really, really cool. If I go to the station programming here on WeatherTRAK Mobile, you can see all of the station details, all of the different parts of the program are now translated into Spanish. And for my money, I think that this is an invaluable way of teaching the Spanish speakers who might not be smart controller savvy what programming smart controllers is all about, right? It's a different mentality than programming in days and minutes like you do on other technologies.
Mhm.
And to see it here in their native language speaks to the understanding of what we're going after, right? And we can see plant type and sprinkler type in Spanish and use this as a tool to make that light go off. Joe, is that something that you've used with your
I was
tech?
actually going to add, this is actually good, because even if you're just an just English speaker, it'll help you learn the Spanish too, because look at microclima, that's a microclimate, profundidad de raíz, that's a root depth. So it'll help you learn, the different terms that there is from Spanish to English. And at the same time, we'll be talking the same language.
Exactly. And so those principles that you get just by programming the controller are, I would say, often lost on guys that don't read in English. And so I know that how much I learned by reading everything that the controller is looking at and just getting familiar with how to program a controller. And if that's always displayed in English, we lose a lot of our guys that way. And so this really does give us a much better way of kind of reinforcing those principles of smart controllers.
At the same time, I mean, just being able to have that app, out there when you're in the field. I mean, how many times when we're doing our wet checks or our PMIs, we're checking irrigation, how many times do you notice the planter's, too wet? So go in there and adjust your irrigation, and then having the capability of the guys being able to do them themselves instead of having to either put that on the account manager or put that on a list, on a to-do list. You're there, do it, get it over with.
Absolutely, right? Not
Efficiency, being efficient.
That efficient upgrade, right? And I, not to be missed, like I didn't mean to miss that point. That is 100% the reason we do it, right? Is not to train these guys, but to give them the tools that they need out in the field so that they can use these effectively. And you as the employer, as you as the boss, get to experience the efficiency upgrades that come along with using the technology appropriately.
This is a game changer. I mean, just being an account manager in my previous life, having your irrigation tech coming in at the end of the day is like, hey, can you please adjust this in this controller? Like, yeah, I'll get to it. After I'm done with these proposals and all these emails, get that done. They can go ahead and get it done for you, and that's one less thing to do on your list. So everybody just, works as a team when it comes.
Absolutely. Here's the last thing I want to show you on the app. One of the things that we train on pretty extensively is troubleshooting, right? Managing alerts is a big part of managing WeatherTRAK because sprinkler systems break, and that alert feedback is a hugely valuable part of the system. And not many folks know that as we train on this, one of the ways that I train people to get comfortable with alerts is to access the alerts from WeatherTRAK Mobile. And if you are looking to understand an alert better, if you touch that alert, it brings up a definition and possible causes along with the specifics of the alert, right? Which valve box you need to walk to. Well, here is another Spanish resource right here on the click here to see how to resolve this alert. That takes you to an article that goes through all of the details of the alert. And right here, the first thing you see on that alert breakdown is if you would rather read this article in Spanish, click here, right? And so that alert management is a huge part of the irrigation daily workflow, and understanding these alerts is greatly enhanced by being able to read through this information, especially in your native language. So that is kind of the nutshell version of what I wanted to show you in WeatherTRAK Mobile. For my money, that is the front line, the very first thing that we should be introducing our Spanish speakers to, so that we can, let me stop sharing this, so that they can start to see the technology in their native tongue, right? They can start to understand what we're trying to accomplish and use those tools effectively to save time.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to build on that, Joe, before we move
I
on?
mean, a couple of things I was thinking about. I'm thinking about the evaluations that we're doing, and one of them that comes to mind is what is evapotranspiración, which is what is ET, right? And you start explaining to them what ET is, and they're like, oh my God, I did not know that's how it works. It's like, yeah, the plants don't sweat, they transpire, and they're like, oh my God. So being able to use this technology and be able to use or see these terms. And what we're doing, we're going the additional step and taking our time, Spanish training and training them what they all mean and what is it when they see ET, what does it mean, so that they can put two and two together, right?
Exactly right. All right, so back to the PowerPoint here. We will move on to one of the things that brought us together, that made you the perfect guest for this particular subject. And that is one of the things that we do to support our Spanish speakers is group trainings of irrigation techs in Spanish, which is something that I think A, is hugely valuable, and B, is not something that's very common in our industry. And the reason that you're the perfect guest is because we've done this for Park West, right? And by we, I mean myself as the training manager, and I bring along with me my buddy and my escalations manager, Jonathan, whose first language is Spanish. He's ultra fluent in Spanish and ultra fluent in WeatherTRAK. And so I provide the structure and content of the training, and he just picks it right up and runs through it. And goes through it with a group of irrigation techs whose first language is Spanish. And I wanted to get your feedback on that experience and talk to you a little bit about what you thought of it and what your guys thought of it.
So when we did the training a couple of months back, still during COVID, but it wasn't, the restrictions weren't as hard as they are now, for lack of a better term. But we had everybody in our office down in Escondido, and we had a group of maybe 6 irrigation techs. You had, very seasoned irrigation techs, been in the industry for about 20 plus years, and we had our new techs, right? Maybe a couple months. So in that class, it was cool because we were able to set up, a camera, and having you guys with a projector on the wall, and having these guys look at you guys. We're able to communicate back and forth with questions, and I thought it was very intuitive. The guys that were the more seasoned irrigation techs, it was something completely new to them, right? Because they're able to hear. It's like, hey man, don't be too loud, because they can actually hear what you're saying. So if you have a question, go ahead and ask it. But it was good though. Everybody loved it. You guys were very good about answering our questions, and you guys took the time to go through each individual slide or through even like the demo of the app. You guys took your time, and Jonathan was great about it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what I notice is when I'm training, always in English, because that's how I do, I notice that as I go on, I really try and pull people in and make it an interactive experience. And for those that are with me 100% of the way, I can get them to interact and to ask questions and to really be a part of it. But if they're not following me, I notice that they become more and more disconnected as the training goes on. Like they struggle to understand what I'm joking about or nerding out about, just because of the language barrier. And the absolute converse was true. The absolute opposite was true in this scenario, right? I have never seen guys get so drawn in and so receptive to training, because it's something that they've sat through 100 English trainings before. Yeah. And when we did it in Spanish, it was such a novel idea for them that we would take the approach to speak to them in Spanish, that, man, they doubled down on the questions, and everybody in the room, I felt, was right there with us the whole time.
Yeah, no, it was definitely good. Even you had your irrigation techs that were pretty much introvert at the beginning of the class. By the end of the class, man, they were asking, shooting questions back and forth, and they had a list of things that they needed to get through, and you guys answered all the questions. So I feel that they were feeling pretty confident after that.
That's great.
And
one thing I do want to highlight is that this is something that we can offer, but it does have certain limitations, right? Jonathan is not the training manager. Jonathan is the escalations manager. So if this is something that we can provide for your group as listeners, Park West is somebody who has taken us up on this. But if you have a group of irrigation techs that you want to put together in a room, and we can virtually join you and go through this stuff, that is something that we're real interested in, providing that level of support and that personal touch. We think that there's a strong reaction to it. We ask that you create a group, and Jonathan's not really into the one-on-one trainings like I am, because he has to make special time for it, and I have to get 18 people to sign off to get him to allocate time to that. But please take us up on this as an opportunity. If you have a group of Spanish speakers that you want to introduce to the principles of WeatherTRAK, we'd be happy to go through that in a live environment and make sure that all their questions are answered.
Yeah, and it didn't take very much, right? It was a projector. You have to have a projector onto a wall, and maybe some donuts and coffee, and the guys coming in. It didn't take very much as far as expenses went. And at the end of the day, you're getting more out of it because now your guys are out there. Maybe they'll have one or two questions, but at least they know who to reach out to, and if they do have those questions, they can at least get through most of the problems that they see, or know how to ask the right questions so when they call you.
Absolutely. All right. And equally important is to touch on that it isn't just the basic introductions. We do, Jonathan's an expert at this. And so we can do two-wire training. We can do alert management. We can really drill down on advanced topics that these guys are ready for, but don't really have any other resources to get trained. So I think it's a great possibility, something that we offer for our Spanish speakers. Oh, all right, that was not what I wanted to do. Wanted to move on here. Now we want to talk about the online support resources. So we do have a myriad of things that are available online for training the trainer, for making it easy to communicate some essential WeatherTRAK information in Spanish. So we have literature at the company website, as well as a resource called the Knowledge Base that I tout pretty regularly, and some Spanish resources there. So let me go to that real fast. Share this. That is not meant to end this. All right, so here we go. First of all, we want to go to the the hydropoint.com, not weathertrak.net, but our company website called hydropoint.com. And on hydropoint.com, we've got the resources tab. On the resources tab, you use the drop-down menu here, and we have, let it load in here. Come on. Here we go. We have the same place you sign up for the webinar series. We have a page called Product Materials. And here on the Product Materials page, if we go to that, you can see here in the quick links, we've got Spanish language documents. And if I click on that, it takes me to the right part of the page that has all of our Spanish language documentation. And some of this is really essential for advanced WeatherTRAK users, right? Both basic and advanced, but we have the Optiflow XR training manual in Spanish, which Optiflow is something that we see as an emerging trend. A lot of our customers really like the performance of Optiflow. And so we are seeing that as something that everybody who is on the front lines should know about and should know kind of what we're talking about. So having the Optiflow manual there, as well as all of the different controller manuals in Spanish and quick reference cards. You don't have to sit down with the manual. The quick reference guide is a manual condensed into 3 pages, right? Just the highlight reel. So that can be used very effectively, especially if you're doing trainings for guys in Spanish, right? If you're training them on how the controller works, print off this quick reference card and use that and put that in their hands, because they'll then find it in the controller and it'll help reinforce what you're teaching there. The other thing that we find here is the Spanish videos. Not all of our videos have been translated into Spanish, but we do have a proactive strategy to get all of our alert videos first translated, so you can watch those valuable alert videos. And things like the WeatherTRAK mobile training that we provide in Spanish. So lots of great resources here at WeatherTRAK, or at hydropoint.com on the resources page. And Joe, have you used any of these for your trainings?
I was actually going to say, so I checked out those videos, and they're very easy to understand. You know, they're in Spanish, and what I like about them too, that you got show and tell, right? That they're when they're describing what they're doing, they actually have somebody, you know, replacing the SIM card. As simple as that, you know, showing you how to get to the SIM card on the controller, how to replace it. It also shows you how to get to the alerts, you know, in your controller and what they mean. So it's very easy to comprehend. And the good thing about it too, that they're not long videos. They're about 2-minute videos, you know, anywhere from 2 minutes to 5 minutes. You know, I think I've seen the longest video being 10 minutes, right? But you know, they're short, they get to the point, and they're easy to comprehend.
That's awesome. Yeah, we try and focus on that. Every time I turn in a video, my sales team says, that's good, but could it be shorter? And then the last thing that I want to go over here on online resources happens at support.hydropoint.com. This is what we call the knowledge base. And it's a online keyword search site where you can use keywords to, if you're having a WeatherTRAK problem, use keywords to find articles about whatever issue you're looking for. So even in English, you go to support.hydropoint.com, and if you have questions about water window alerts, you type in water window and it'll bring up articles that are technical articles. They are designed to be kind of step-by-step troubleshooting or procedural. We have a great technical writer who makes all of these articles and makes this as the resource where we store kind of all of the information. So this is a great resource for English and Spanish alike. But if we scroll down here to the bottom, let me move this guy, we see that there is an entire page of articles in Spanish. And so normal troubleshooting stuff. If you have a barrier where you as an English trainer are trying to walk through troubleshooting of specifics on a WeatherTRAK, these articles can be very, very helpful. And there's a whole slew of them. Joe, are you using these?
I am, and actually, I know we're getting close on time, but one thing I did want to add real quick is and this is, you know, I give kudos to our guys, our water management team down in San Diego, Francisco and Jim, and Fermin, and our team up here, Dylan and them. You know, they've been doing a very good job. And when they install a controller, I mean, we have Felipe, which is is part of our water management team. They'll go out there before they leave the site. They install the controller before they even leave the site. They make sure the irrigation tech is included, and they'll walk them through the support process, whether it is putting the support number on their phone, and so they have it set up, and they'll walk them through the process on how to get a hold of somebody, and the best thing of all, that they speak Spanish, right? So
that's a perfect lead into my next slide. You did awesome. You're a great straight man, Joe. That takes me to the point about our, oh, come on. Nope. Edit the slide. Lost in the clickies. What I think of as the greatest Spanish training resource that we have, and that is our customer service team. For as long as I've been with WeatherTRAK, we've provided 6-day-a-week bilingual customer support. So there is always somebody there during work hours that can speak Spanish. In fact, we've got 10 WeatherTRAK customer service agents who work at the support services, and 7 of them are Spanish English bilingual. So chances are you'll get somebody on the first ring that will be able to speak Spanish. If not, we definitely have enough resources to make sure that we're supporting those people and getting the questions answered and helping solve problems and provide solutions to anyone who calls in on that line in either English or Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
they're there
that's
early
something
too.
that you use regularly, right?
Well, I was going to say, and they're there our hours, right? They're there early. You know, I've called somebody at 6:30 in the morning, and it seems like there's somebody always there to pick up.
Yeah, especially for California people, because we do support coast to coast. We've got people in there to cover the Eastern time irrigation techs. So we definitely cover a wide span of the clock to try and make sure that everybody is supported.
Yep.
All right, Joe, that brings us to what we got next week. Spring startup is just around the corner. So next week we are bringing in my friend Eric Santos. This is awesome because Eric was the first guest when Smart Water Wednesdays started last year at this time. And so to bring everything full circle, Eric is going to join me again for the spring startup conversation next week. And you know Eric, right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was mentioning to you, you know, from the people that I work with, you know, Danny included, I mean, they've all been, Eric included, Jonathan, have all been great mentors of mine, you know, and that's the reason why I still stay with irrigation.
Jonathan Caceres,
Danny
Smith, Eric
Danny
Santos.
Smith, Eric Santos.
All 3 people have been special guests on this show. So, and all 3 great water managers and mentors.
Great people.
All right, let's wrap this guy up, Joe. I'm going to get out of this show. I'm going to go back to your face. And I warned you beforehand. I ask every guest on the show, what does WeatherTRAK save you?
Headaches. And this is why. Because there's no problem that we can't figure out with the help of your support team, whether it be calling support or calling Phil out here, Phil Elliott, Charles Zayer. They're always available to help whenever we run into any issue with our controllers. And that's it, man.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. Danny Smith is commenting on my poor spelling, but I just checked the chat box and we don't have any other questions. So
you're trying to spell it in Spanish, that's why.
that was it. I was going for the Spanish spelling, Danny. Come on. Joe, thank you so much for making time. It has certainly been a pleasure to chat with you and to have another training manager on here and to hear about your company's dedication to training because it's something that I take so personally. So
that's it, man.
Thanks for making time for us. And for everybody listening out there, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.